Why don't we go with Chase in Idaho? Wants to discuss animal rights and veganism. That feels broad, but I don't know. It could be fun. Chase, you're live with Eric and B.
I'm a super fan. I've been following y'all for like 3 years.
Yeah.
Got your poster on the wall and everything.
Aww.
Damn. All right.
Even if we're meat eaters.
Yeah, I love everybody.
Wow, that is incredibly sweet. I already think this call is going to go very different than I thought. What did you want to talk about?
Okay, cool. So, yeah, I don't want to, I know this can be like a tough conversation and stuff. I want to keep all of our defenses low and have a good time and everything. I just want to explain my position and answer any questions you have. I'm not trying to convert you right here and now, just trying to give you some insight.
As long as we can have a back and forth about it, that is useful for listeners. I'm in. What do you got?
Okay, cool. So, yeah, basically, okay, so if we think it's wrong to kick an animal, isn't it worse to cut their head off? So like, I feel like if we get kicked, whether it's a dog or a pig or a person, if we get kicked, we're going to have a bruise. Like if it's just one kick, you're going to have a bruise, but you're going to get over it in a few days. It shouldn't have happened to you, but it's better than having your head cut off, even if it's a quick and painless death, right? Like if you're sleeping and somebody shoots you in the head, no pain, no fear, but our whole life has been taken from us. All of our friends and family relationships, all the future enjoyment we would have had, just snuffed out, right? So that's one point that I'll make. I don't know if you want to address that before I ramble on.
Well, yeah, absolutely. V, but before I do though, V, did you want to throw in anything?
Honestly, I'm in a really influx place with all of this right now. I think I could be pulled in either direction given the right argument. So I'm just gonna listen to you two for a minute and see how y'all duke this out.
So it sounds, Chase, like you're equating consciousness across the board. That an animal, which I would agree is conscious, is equivalent to a human, which we would both agree is conscious to a degree, right? Like it sounds like you're viewing those in kind of the same way. Could you clarify that for me?
Sure. So not exactly. I mean, we're all sentient, because we have whether we're talking again about a pig or a dog or a human, we all have a brain and a nervous system. So we're conscious, we're able to feel pain and pleasure, mental states, and have desires and stuff. But no, we are much smarter than animals, or at least the average human is smarter than the average animal, But I just don't think that that's an excuse to be violent towards them if we don't have to, because I feel like that's a form of ableism to say that, well, they're not as smart as us, therefore we can take their lives.
Well, not so much.
It definitely can lead you down that path into, okay, well, what about humans who aren't as smart as other humans? In which case, that's a problem.
I mean, I would want to approach this from the speciesism place, because do I think that a lion on the savannah that kills a gazelle is behaving in an immoral way? No. And if that's the case, then do you think that humans are somehow special apart from other animals? Sure. That, like coming from a Christian background, that's what I was told, is that we were very unique, separate, that we had souls, and that we were the stewards of the land and of the animals, and that we needed to behave in this parental way. And the more and more I look into it, the more I realize we're just fucking animals. So I kind of want to ask where that sits for you, because it sounds like your argument was leading one way. Yeah.
Exactly. So this draws into the difference between moral agents and moral patients. So a lion would kill. So first off, I would say it's not immoral for the lion to kill the gazelle, because the lion doesn't know any better, and they're killing in order to survive. A lion is a carnivore. They have to eat animals in order to survive, and they don't know any better. But we, on the other hand, though we are animals, we are smarter than the lion. We are civilized human beings who can make compassionate choices, and so therefore we're held to a higher moral standard. A lion would kill a human child if given the opportunity. Are we therefore justified in killing children simply because a lion would? No, we're held to a higher standard. So we don't want to make the appeal to nature fallacy of saying that, well, a lion does it in nature, therefore it's moral for me to do it also.
But there is a circular argument in there as well, isn't there? You're saying a lion does it because it's in their nature. It is not in our nature because it's immoral, and it's immoral because we wouldn't do it, even though a lion would. Do you see, like, we need to establish an external source of morality to measure this against, and then we can come to a conclusion.
Yeah, I to be clear, I'm not saying that we shouldn't kill animals because it's not natural for us to do so, because I think we are omnivores. Like, we are able to kill and eat animals and digest it. It leads to increased risk of heart disease and cancer and things, and environmental devastation. But nevertheless, so it's not wrong because it's natural or not natural. It's wrong because it causes suffering and loss of life with no justified cause. It's just for pleasure. We're just doing this for our taste buds or our convenience as opposed to survival. And we should know better than the lion.
So can I ask a question?
Yes, I do. Yeah. I do. Just, can I put a pin in something? Otherwise I'm going to lose it. And that is that the cancer, heart disease, and environmental impact, I think, needs to go on a shelf, or we need to put a pin in that. Sure. That way it doesn't make this conversation dilute.
Right. We could talk about the medical benefits of one or the other, but that wouldn't relate to the moral benefits of them, if that makes sense.
I just wanted to make the one point that we can live a healthy life on a vegan diet.
Well,
therefore it's unnecessary. Therefore it's unnecessary for us to kill.
That's my question for you. My question is this contextual? Because, for example, Inuit people who live up in the friggin' frozen ass wilderness, like, have to eat meat and subsist very largely on animal product, not only for food, but for clothing and for housing in order to survive. Do they need to be vegans?
Right. So the thing is if your survival is dependent on it, it's a very different situation. Part of my survival does include killing animals, like walking across the street, I step on some bugs on accident, or in the harvesting of vegan food, some little critters in the fields get killed, and that sucks. And we're trying to avoid that as much as possible. But just because we can't be perfect doesn't mean we shouldn't try to minimize the amount of harm we cause. And the people who, so if you don't have access to vegan food, then you're not our target audience. And we would want to try to get vegan food to you so that you don't need to hurt animals to live. But I just don't think that, it justifies us, paying someone to stab a pig for bacon when we could just eat rice, pasta, fruits, vegetables, seeds, nuts, beans, bread, vegan burgers, vegan bacon, etc.
Okay, so I feel like the argument here has shifted from eating animals is always bad to off-sourcing. Right. So off-sourcing the killing of animals to an industrial complex when we have other options is bad.
Yeah, I never said that killing animals is always. I mean, it's always. I think sometimes in life we're in a situation where there is no moral option. We just have to choose the least immoral option. And in that case, like killing an innocent animal who's not trying to harm you, killing them for your own survival, for you to eat, is understandable. I think it's moral for you to keep yourself alive, but it's immoral to kill them. But I would probably kill the animal to stay alive, because I can go on to help the world in more ways than the animal can. I'm an activist for humans and animals. So there are, or if you're being attacked, if you're being attacked by a human or an animal, you have the right to defend yourself. Ideally, use non-lethal violence if you can, or just run away. But if you have to kill in order to survive, go for it.
Would you eat a human in order to survive? Would you hunt and kill a human?
Maybe, yeah. Yeah, it would probably depend on the human, like there's some humans I might be willing to die for, whereas some humans, like a serial killer, sure, I'll take his life and eat him if I have to.
No, not necessarily a serial killer, just like, hey, I'm starving. The only option is to go out with a bow and arrow and hunt a person. Would you do that?
Sure.
Wow.
Well, it's that thing of, it's,
at least you're consistent. That's all I'm asking.
It's the question of, yeah, no, I got you, and I'm trying to answer. It's the question of would I versus do I think it's moral? Because I'm not exactly sure what I would do in that situation, but morally speaking, it's the same kind of thing. I think it would be an immoral act, a violation of their rights for me to kill them, but it would be at least understandable because I was doing it for my own survival as opposed to just for a taste bud.
A taste bud.
So okay. I have a question, but it is going in a different direction, and I don't want to like.
No, I'm good.
Okay,
you can continue.
So, I guess the next place I want to go, and I know that we have a lot of callers, but I do just want to like hit this. Otherwise it's going to sit with me. Uh-huh. It sounds like we are gatekeeping morality behind a paywall. And I kind of want to explore that a little bit, because it sounds to me, as I'm kind of listening and parsing this out, it sounds like for those who do not have access to, a vegan diet, or for those people who cannot afford vegan options, you're withholding moral judgment. And for those people who do have that access, then there is a moral judgment. And it feels kind of...
Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. It almost feels like a kind of a infantilizing by class kind of thing. That like, if you can afford to be more moral, then we're going to hold you to that higher standard. But if you're poor...
Well, I mean, to be fair, we do that with other things. We say if you're making $1 billion, you have an obligation to not make $1 billion anymore and give that to charity, as opposed to like...
Yeah, and I'm not like necessarily coming at it from the opposing that view. I don't have enough time and experience exploring those ideas, and it feels really uncomfortable. And that's kind of why I'm like, oh, I want to talk about this. What's your take on it, Chase?
Yeah, thanks. No, it's a good point. So I think maybe what you're trying to talk about is the soft bigotry of low expectations.
Chase, that is fucking... Oh, say that. The soft bigotry of low expectation. Can we write that down?
I'm way ahead of you.
I am using that. That is that. I like that language. That damn. Okay, Chase, please continue.
Well, I didn't come up with it. I just stole the quote from someone else, so don't give me credit. But so the soft bigotry of low expectations is, I don't think, what I'm doing right here, because that would be to say that if I was doing that, it would be to say, oh, these Inuit people that you were talking about, they are too ignorant to understand morality, and therefore they're exempt. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying many of them probably want to live a life where they don't have to hurt animals, because many Inuit people are good people who are nice to their friends and family and fellow tribes people and stuff, but they're in a situation where they have no other option, and so that's why the rules are a little bit different. But if they were, does that make sense?
So,
I mean, it's making a big assumption about the objectivity of your morality, I think.
It's definitely coming off as you are trying to be as charitable to other people, given your understanding of how things should be. Like I think that when you have people who will look at animals and go, that is other, that does not fit into the same category, then they won't view animals the same way they view friends and family. And because of that, it doesn't go across.
It's just, there is, I know, Chase, I'm not targeting you with this at all. I want to make that clear. I think you perfectly explained a red flag that has been popping up for me with a lot of veganism conversations that happen in the US on social media specifically, which is this latent colonialism of, I have the accurate way of viewing things. I'm not going to blame you for doing things the way you're doing it, but I also know that if you were given the option, you would do things my way. And so our obligation is to allow you, to give you the resources, come into your place and give you the option of doing things the right way, aka my way.
Okay.
So I feel like I definitely don't want to go down that path at all.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm definitely anti-colonialism and stuff. It's just, we're talking about issues of animal cruelty and stuff. And I'm not trying to assume that every indigenous that every Inuit tribe person would want to stop eating animals if I just, gave them a vegan burger or something. Some of them would, though. Like, that's the thing. Like, a lot of people, and I'd rather keep it focused more on us, in this country instead, but like, most people are against animal cruelty, and most people don't want to hurt an animal or kill an animal or see it happen even. And that's what I'm just trying to help them to realize, that this is just in alignment with our own values. I ate animals animals for 26 years, and I never really thought about this because it wasn't, I wasn't confronted with it or educated about it. But like when we were talking about speciesism, I think that, so speciesism is similar to racism and sexism. It's discrimination based on what species somebody's born into. So if we say it's wrong to kill a dog, but fine to kill a pig, that would be speciesism because there's no real difference between these animals. Or if we were to say humans matter, but animals don't, that's also speciesism because we are animals. Nobody gets to choose what body they're born into, and there's nothing wrong with being different. So we should just be nice to everybody. This is just an anti-discrimination stance. And to say that it's okay to kill animals because they're less intelligent is just ableism. We wouldn't accept that in the human context.
Chase?
Is it the buddy? Is it the everybody part that's getting you?
I mean, there are quite a few things. I'm wondering who you're arguing with here, because it's not neither of us. We've already established that a lot of the things that we actually agree on a lot of things. So like, let's not go down the straw man route.
Yeah, we're not saying only humans.
I was just trying to make my.
Yeah, well, let's make the point to us.
I wasn't trying to straw man or anything. I was just trying to clear up exactly what our philosophy is.
Who's our?
The vegan movement, but my philosophy. Then, if you want.
Okay, let's stick to individuals. I think that would be better.
What's interesting, I feel like the place we're going to break ways there, Chase, is when you say everybody and you're including non-humans, it feels like you're anthropomorphizing them. And I think that you would not call it that. And I feel like I do have an example, and that is raising chickens. For people who have raised chickens and killed chickens, I just don't view them with the same respect that I do other animals. I don't. I think that they have personalities.
They live by the sword and they will die by
the sword. I think that they have. Why?
Because that's the way we were raised. So that it seems like it's just a social norm that we were following.
No. So I grew up in a city, and at 29 years old, I moved to Texas to a ranch and cared for chickens. Caring for them, making sure that they're healthy. They were all free range. The enclosure that I built to keep them safe was gigantic. I mean, really gigantic for the number of chickens. So I put a lot into that, but also over time, I didn't feel bad about taking their eggs and also killing them.
I think honestly, that is a really good place to maybe leave this, because I would love to have this conversation for the rest of the show, but I also want to talk to everybody else. And we do have other vegan callers on here as well.
We only have
my question though, Chase, is I feel like there is a lot of emotionally loaded language and equivocation happening when you go on when you start listing talking points, right? Not when we're having a back and forth. I think that we have a really good back and forth. But I am going to flag to you that there are some areas where the talking points are not hitting correctly. And maybe you can refine those. I appreciate it. Can I just
leave with one last thought?
Yeah, I do want to address this real fast though. So equating being somebody who eats meat and animal cruelty is dishonest. You might feel that way, absolutely. But there is actually a legal category of animal cruelty that eating meat or killing to eat meat doesn't fall into. So they are two separate things. You might see overlap, you might see them as the same thing. That's totally valid. But when you use that equivocation to other people, that could come off as disingenuous. So make sure that you're not doing that. And also,
okay, I understand.
The other thing that I would say is, let's talk about whether or not we should be eating honey or, Parmesan cheese, because really, I could get down with vegetarianism probably pretty easily. Like, I eat meat maybe once a week, maybe twice, usually poultry or fish. And so, like, I could probably get down with pescatarianism, with vegetarianism. And when we talk about killing animals and, murdering them, it becomes this very fraught thing that a lot of people will agree with, but veganism is a lot more than that, right? And so why don't we have those conversations? Is it because there is a lot to be gained by jump starting people's emotions in the "are you murdering animals" sense, as opposed to the more hey, should we be eating honey? Because here's what goes into getting honey from commercialized, honeybee farms or whatever, right? Like, let's diversify this conversation and maybe differentiate between animal rights and veganism specifically, which is a lot more than just don't eat animals.
Well, right, but the reason that veganism is about animal rights, it's a moral philosophy, and so animals are killed for the production of eggs and dairy and honey, and that's why we're against it. That's
animals are killed for the production of honey?
Yeah, and you can just check out some YouTube videos. I don't want to spend too much time on that right now, because we're running out of time and stuff. But I guess the last things I wanted to say just was that when we're talking about someone, I feel like animals are not inanimate objects. We turn them into that, we objectify them, but they're conscious individuals who care how they're treated. There's somebody in there with a personality. This is this is an individual, a dog or a cat. There's someone in there experiencing that life. That's someone, not something. So there's that. And then the last thing I want to say is I do think that slaughter is animal cruelty, like I outlined in the beginning, because I think that cutting someone's head off or cutting off an animal's head is more harmful to them than kicking them one time. And the last thing I'll say is that these animals are killed when they're children, when they're very, very young. So the natural lifespan of a pig is 12 years old, just like a dog, but pigs are killed when they're only 6 months old, and that's like killing a puppy. So I appreciate the conversation. I hope you guys have, if you have any last words, you can say whatever you want to say. I just want to say thanks again for the conversation and for everything that you do. I agree with 99% of everything y'all say.
Appreciate it, brother. I think that I sense a lot of propensity for change in me, but I'm not getting on board with treating insects like people. And so I think that
I didn't say that though.
Okay, so
let's move on.
Yeah.
Chase, we can tell that you care about this very much, that you are a very compassionate and sympathetic person, and that those are all good things. I would definitely dial back on the appeals to emotion and the equivocation. But other than that, you do you, we'll do us.
Well, just remember. Yeah, but just remember, if we were talking about somebody abusing a dog or a child, there would be emotion involved in that conversation.
Oh,
but thank you guys.
Okay.
Take care, Chase.
Bye.
So for someone that we can have spirited debates with, because we could, that is definitely somebody that if they lived nearby, I could imagine us just happily arguing for months on it. Chase, we're glad that you followed and that you've kept up with us on our journey. Okay.
Vincent King. Pooh Bear was killed for his honey he stole from Rabbit too many times. I don't know why that made me so happy, but it did. Thank you.